When we're young, we have an amazing, positive outlook about how great life is going to be, but somewhere along the line, we forget to dream and end up settling. Join Up Dots features amazing people who refuse to give up and chose to go after their dreams. This is your blueprint for greatness. So here's your host, live from the back of his garden in the UK, David Ralph.
Yes, hello there. Good morning, world. Good morning, and welcome to episode 710 of Join Up Dots. I don't normally say the episode number, but I thought, blimey, it's 710. We are really shifting through to the thousands and the 2000s. Who knows where this show's going to be in a couple of years' time? But that's the beauty of life. You never know. But as long as you start taking action, then things happen. And today's guest has certainly been taking a lot of action because she's a lady with many different plates spinning at one time, for sure. She's an internet business lawyer whose mission is to show business owners like us how to cover our assets online without having to spend a lot of money on legal fees. Now, as the founder of coveryourassetsonline.com, she's created a do-it-yourself legal toolkit so that entrepreneurs could protect not only their business assets but their homes, cars and investments, which is all interesting stuff. But what's led her to this point? Well, her first career was a TV news reporter and anchor in Toronto, where she won a couple of CanPro awards as well as a New York Film Festival award for news documentary, which delved into the topic of adoption. Now, when her husband's career took them to the US, she decided to switch careers and follow her long-time dream of going to law school. She applied to the Roger Williams School of Law, which was 20 minutes from her house in Providence, Rhode Island, and practiced for several years, and then decided she wanted to be a coach. So, internet lawyer, business coach. Now, how do these things join up together? Well, I suppose at her heart, she's a fixer. She loves to see an issue and bring a solution to the table. As she says, I became a coach at the age of 6 when I saw my parents fighting for the first time. I remember thinking, I can fix this if they would just listen to me. Now, as an attorney, I always wanted to help people fix their lives so they wouldn't need to hire me again. As a TV news reporter, I was always drawn to the personal interest stories. I'm a big sap, but I've come to believe I have a duty to get my ass to happy and have learned how to do that. I was born to help others do the same, to get up off their asses, to live lives that are on fire instead of being burnt out. Great stuff. So where should we start today? Talking about how to get happy, confidence, or internet law? Well, in normal fashion, I think we'll tackle all of them. So why is internet law so obviously a hot topic, but so few people are offering this service? And is she living the life of her dreams, or with so much going on, is she running around screaming, people, I can't do it all on my own, I need help? Well, let's find out as we bring onto the show to start joining up dots with the one and only Lin Eleoff. Good morning, Lin. How are you?
Oh my God, David. Good morning to you. It's great to talk to you. That was quite an intro. Thank you.
Yeah, I tell you what, you've got one of these lives that I felt to think to myself, just stop. Don't do any more, Lin. You're gonna age overnight. Just stay youthful, stay glamorous. Don't take anything on. You like a busy life, don't you?
I like a meaningful life. I want a purposeful life. And I know that can sound a little cheesy and all of that, but I don't even know what it would mean to slow down. I am so committed to living my life and not being able to say, I regret not having done X, Y, or Z. So That really is, I only have two things on my bucket list. 1, die laughing. 2, no regrets. I don't know how I'll check them off, but those are the only 2 things I've got on there.
Yeah, I don't know if I could do die laughing, to be honest. I think I would know that, that's going to be a hard push. How are you going to die laughing, do you think?
So I think that really is just kind of a metaphor for having lived a good life, and that, this idea of having a good death. Oh my God, we're getting so heavy already. But just that idea that I've lived my life well, and that at the end, I may not be laughing, but I want to be at peace and know that I lived it. I did laugh. I cried, of course, but in the end, it all worked out.
I don't think it has to be a metaphor, Lin. I've just created feather knickers. That's what you need. That will help you laugh on your deathbed, I reckon. Don't you think?
Yes. Okay.
There you go, business idea. It's just popped into my head. So you are a lady, as I say, you're spinning many different plates, but you say that you want a life of sort of meaning and purpose. Did you ever get that feeling, like I say in the intro, when it's, oh, come on, I've got so much on, just help me, can't you make the dinner yourself, family? I've got this on, Does it all come down on your shoulders, or do you just love it?
Of course, there are many days that I've been you wouldn't find me, but I've been hiding on the bathroom floor bawling, wondering what the heck is going on. But I think that, that's all part of it. And you've got to experience that in order to experience, the highs and the lovely moments, the moments where you are laughing. You need that contrast. So absolutely. Are you kidding? I've had my ugly cry moments. Definitely.
It's weird though, isn't it, that every single person that comes on Join Up Dots literally have got to where they want to be because of the bad times. But when you look at sort of the corporate people, that's kind of zombie land, the people going to jobs they don't like, they're almost running away from the bad times. Should we be sort of seeking them out? Is that where change occurs, do you think?
I don't think you have to seek them out. I think there are opportunities every step of the way, and it's whether you take those or not. I call them AFGOs, another freaking growth opportunity. It's an opportunity that it's sort of like a nudge that says, hey, if you take this road, it may not be that easy, but there's something to learn. There's something to get out of this. And too often people say, no, I don't want to go there. I want to go down this path. It's nice and safe and easy. And so, I don't like to label corporate types as necessarily those people, but I understand what you're saying.
Go on. No one listens, Lynn. You can say anything you want on here.
Damn those corporate types. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think that's it. There's an element of denial. And I think, David, we are here to deal with the AFGOs, those freaking growth opportunities that sting like a bee on a motorcycle, and they hurt, and that's where the gold is. But it's not wrapped up in a pretty bow, so we tend to want to shy away from it.
Just before we started recording today, I was sitting in my garden. It's a nice day, 1st of June, and we're starting to get a bit of sunshine. And I was just having an apple, and I was looking around at things, no sort of great thoughts going into my mind, and my wife came out and said, what's the matter? What's the matter with you? I said, nothing. I was just having a think. And she said, what about? And I went, about nothing. And she said, how can you think about nothing? And I said, well, I was actually convincing my brain not to think about anything, because that's when the great ideas come into your head and you can see the sort of opportunities. Now, I've got that ability in my life now to have those quiet times, but I see so many people, literally, they wake up, the alarm goes off, they jump into the shower, they throw cereal down their throat, they whiz off to work. Do they need to sort of build in that sort of moment of reflection so that they can actually stop the wheel somehow and see where they need to go?
So I firmly believe that, we can tell people what they need to do, but unless there is something that sparks that desire in them to slow down and reflect, then they're going to just keep on doing what they do, right? So I don't know, it's different for all of us, but I do think that ultimately all roads lead to this one place where we go inward and we, assess, what am I doing? Why am I here? Why do I get up in the morning and just rush off like that? Like, why am I doing what I do? What's the purpose of it all? And until we kind of have that, for me, it would be come to Lynn moment, or for you, come to David moment, then we just keep on doing it no matter how often we hear, you should slow down, you should have a morning routine, you should meditate. None of that really matters. It's like noise.
Do you know, I was going to talk about internet law, but now I'm looking at it, it doesn't interest me as much as what I'm interested in. So there's a lot of people out there who are on that route, and they've got into their 30s and they've got into their 40s, and I'm going to be sweeping stereotype here, but I'm going to say that a lot of ladies that I see, certainly from my wife's side of the fence, they almost have lost their confidence to believe that they can go off. It's almost settlement time in their 40s. Did you see that with the people that you speak to? Is there a sort of lack of confidence that needs to be found somehow to really sort of ignite the potential?
It happened to me. I mean, whether it was 40 or 42, I'm not sure exactly, but there came a time when I started to think, whoa, like, who am I? My kids are growing, so, I can't sort of hang on to that mom identity, and the lawyer identity only gets me so far, and the TV news caster identity only gets me so far. It's like, so what am I doing? And that can be, an identity crisis is rough. I mean, that'll send you to the bathroom floor
Yeah.
faster than anything. And I think that's what happens around 40 when, youth is in your rear window, and now it's all about what's going on in your head. So the external and your exterior, you're forced to say, all right, if I'm not just this one thing that I so identified with, then who am I and what's going to make me happy? So I think that often is what sort of pushes us to take stock and then say, am I living up to what, am I doing all I can, or am I just coasting? So for me, it was really like, what do I want to do? Who do I want to be? And it was all about breaking the rules, because the rules up to that point were not really mine. So I decided to rewrite them.
And do you need to have a certain amount of confidence to have those thoughts? Or do you really just start looking inside you?
I do think you have to have the wherewithal to say, I've had enough. This is my time. Right now, starting now, this is my time. That's a huge shift, David, as I'm sure you know, right? It's like, how do you go from being someone who wants to please people, whose value or their worth is perceived to them as being doing things for other people. So if I can please this person, or if I can please my boss, or if I can please the shareholders, then that's my value. So if to go to otherwise, to thinking otherwise, it's a big leap. But I think that it's going to happen, whether it's your 40s or your 80s or another lifetime. It eventually is going to happen. So I guess I don't know if the word is confidence so much as just having had enough of doing it someone else's way.
I think that's true, isn't it? I think you've hit the nail on the head. When you get to a point, I remember being in corporate land, doing a job I did for 10 years. And I think with me, it was the case of, I felt like I'd gone round 4 times and the same cycles, and the company was saying, right, what we're going to be doing, we're going to be doing this. And I was thinking, I saw this 5 years ago and it didn't work then, and we're going again. And I just felt like I was literally on a circle going round and round and round, to the point I just had enough and I had to step off. And the weird thing was, when I did quit and I left my company, I used to be a financial trainer, and I used to be able to just stand up and do literally hundreds of training courses. They were just in my brain. And when I left, about a day later, I started to try to think if I could remember them. I don't know why I was doing that. And they'd gone. They'd just gone. It was almost like my brain had said, right, that was your past life. You don't need any of this stuff. You're going to be really upskilling and self-developing yourself to move to where you want to be. Let's clear the decks. Now I look back and I think, yeah, actually, I think I could do it. But there was a whole year that I just couldn't remember anything, because I think my body was getting ready for the next stage. Like sort of arable farming, I suppose, or gardens that lay dormant over winter. It needs that kind of time to just be yourself without having to push.
And I think too, you nailed it when you said, your body. I think there's an intelligence in our body that we miss. We don't tap into. Our bodies can teach us a lot about who we are, when we've had enough, whether to go down this road and not that road. But listening to your body and tuning into it is it's not what we do. It's kind of like we're all in our heads, and our bodies pay the price. And then we blame our bodies for breaking down. Oh, like I ended up having a thyroid problem. I had to have thyroid surgery when I was 40. And I remember saying, oh, way to go, body. Thanks for pulling that one on me, without realizing that my body was saying, hey, I've been trying to talk to you for a while. You're not paying attention. So I'm throwing this curveball at you. And that was something I had to pay attention to. So, yeah, I mean, I think that we getting out of our heads and like what you said, just almost not thinking, not just letting your body sort of take over can be very cathartic, very therapeutic.
So how do you become confident? I know one of your big passions is confidence and instilling it into the females of the world. So how do you do that? If you're sitting there and you've just had it battered out of you, you keep on having people telling you that you're failing and you're not doing this and you're not doing that very well. After a while, you just naturally believe it. What would be the first step for somebody out there listening to this podcast to actually start breaking down those thoughts and becoming confident?
So I think there's a big difference between self-confidence and self-esteem. Self-confidence comes often when you do something and you improve on it, and then you do it better, and then you start to feel confident in your ability to do something. So you can be very self-confident, say, playing a sport, or you can feel very self-confident in your corporate life, but then outside of your corporate life, you lose that sense of being, king of the world or queen of the world because something else is missing. There's a lack of self-esteem. And self-esteem is how you think about yourself in all aspects of your life. It's your estimation of your own worth. And I think that is where the shift has to happen. Self-confidence, yes, we can work on, but self-esteem, that is a beast. And that starts with really looking at who you think you are. Like if I asked you, David, who do you think you are? Without it sounding like I'm being a bit of a smartass, but like, who do you think you are? Who do you believe you are? That question will tell you a lot about where you are and how you feel about it. It dictates your whole worldview, your attitude, your personality, all of that. Like, who do you think and believe that you are?
Well, I would always answer that, other than the Sexy-ish UK podcaster living today. I would go with that as a second. I would go with me. I just think that's me. I get asked that question a lot, and I always think to myself, I'm just me. I'm just who I am. I don't try to be anything other than what God's given me or what nature's given me. Would that be a kind of throwaway answer? I just kind of think that I'm authentically myself. I don't try to wear any other hats because most of them don't fit. I just sort of walk around being me.
Right, and you like that. Right?
I love it. I don't know if my wife loves it as much because ultimately I think I have an annoying character, and I do like to, annoy people for humour. If I was dying on my deathbed, it would be that I've done some kind of practical joke on all the nurses, and that would be my sort of my spirit. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so then you die laughing. There you go.
Yeah,
that's how you're going to die laughing.
I would die laughing that way. But no, I think it's a kind of lack of effort, Lynn. It's harder to be somebody else. I might as well just be myself.
Yes. And I think you've nailed it. That's it. You are you with, all the nice soft spots, all the rough spots. You are you, and you're okay with that. And I think that is what self-esteem, that's what we aspire to be. I think our purpose in life, like people talk about, oh, what's my purpose? What should I be doing? And I'm thinking, your only purpose is to figure out a way to be you, authentically you, without excuses, without worry that it rubs people the wrong way, even if it's your spouse. Like if you can be authentically you and not set out to hurt anyone, of course, then your intentions are good, then that's it. From there, the world is your oyster. That's it. That's your purpose.
Let's play some words now, and then we're going to delve straight back into this because I think it's fascinating. Here's Jim Carrey.
My father could have been a great comedian, but he didn't believe that was possible for him. And so he made a conservative choice. Instead, he got a safe job as an accountant. And when I was 12 years old, he was let go from that safe job, and our family had to do whatever we could to survive. I learned many great lessons from my father, not the least of which was that you can fail at what you don't want. So you might as well take a chance on doing what you love.
So in the introduction, then, we were talking about you became a coach at the age of 6, and then your career took you as internet lawyer and TV news reporter. How much of that was, as Jim was saying, was stuff you didn't want? You just kind of naturally went into it because you thought maybe it was a good career, or that other people thought it was a good career?
So first of all, I love Jim Carrey. I think he is brilliant. As funny as he is a very soulful man. And so I so appreciate that you played that clip. I think that there's a part of us that as children, we have to toe the line. We have to follow the rules that we're given. We are basically, programmed to think a certain way because we're not playing with a full deck. We've got the prefrontal cortex is not fully formed, and so you're kind of just riding the wave of that you've been put on. And so I think that, yes, towing the line up to a point, but I don't really know. And I'm not wanting to cop out on this answer, but I don't really know why I've always had this underlying drive to go my own way, to not do it the way everybody's telling me to do it, the way I want to do it. And I haven't always known what that will look like, but
Yeah.
I've always known that there's got to be no, I don't want to do that kind of an attitude. It's like my inner 6-year-old saying, I don't want to do that. And she's always been with me, and I have learned to listen to her, because she can still offer me guidance. She'll kick me in the shins when I'm going in the wrong direction and say, hey, that wasn't part of the plan. We had big dreams, and this is not one of them. So let's go.
I agree with that. I'm exactly the same. If somebody says to me, right, as classic case, empty cinema, you go into an empty cinema and somebody tells me to sit in one seat, I think, why? Why can't I just sit in all the others? And I have this urge as soon as it goes dark to get up and creep across just to sort of prove my point. I always think that laws are there to be broken, not the bad laws, but the kind of silly laws that we get where you're told you can't walk on the grass and you can't do this and you can't do that. And even as a kid, my school uniform was black, so I wanted to wear grey. And if somebody was listening to this music, I wanted to listen to something else. So I totally understand that. And there's no rhyme and reason why I've always felt the need to sort of do my own thing. Now I'm an adult, Lynn, I think that by doing your own thing, there's less competition. You kind of create your own
Right.
path. And it's an empty walk through where if I was going off to get a job in Taco Bell with everybody, they're all going to, thousands of people. Do your own thing, be confident, don't hurt anyone, and enjoy your life. That's what I think.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Enjoy your life. It sounds so simple, right? But people skirt over that. They're like, yeah, I do. I enjoy my life. And then, as a coach, if I'm working with them and I start asking questions about, what's your past week been like show me all the times where you've enjoyed it. Then the stammering begins. It's like, well, okay, so this past week wasn't so great, but so we tell ourselves pretty little lies about how we're living as if to justify why we should just keep on doing it that way. And to really say, hey, this kind of sucks the way I'm doing it. It's a lot. I mean, a lot of people are not willing to do that.
So how do you get through the grind? Creating any business, there's upskilling, there's self-development, there's structure you got to put into it. It's grind time. But fortunately, that's when your motivation is the greatest at the beginning, when you think, oh, I'm going to create something that's going to take over the world. How do you get through the bit when it's not? It's not where you want it to be. You may be not bringing in that much income, but you've still got to find that inner spirit to just keep on pushing through.
So I think you have to have a mindset that accepts that there will be a grind. Right? Because people who don't accept the grind or don't expect that there will be that grind moment or that period of time are the ones who will often say, oh, this isn't for me, this is way harder than I thought, or I wasn't expecting I'd have to do all this. And so I think that you've got to be realistic and say, hey, I can handle the grind. I know it's coming. Just peaks and valleys is kind of, it's everywhere in your personal life, in your business life. Things go up and then they go down. And I think when we know and expect that things will be, there will be rough periods, there will be the grind to go through, then we can have a plan for how we're going to go through the grind. All right, it's grind time. This is how it's going to go down. And in a way that where you still take care of you. You know that at a very basic level, you have to take care of you, your body, your mind, your spirit. Take care of that. And then the grind will take care of itself. It really will. It sounds kind of cheesy, but it's true.
It is true, but we don't, do we? You know, as you were talking about your thyroid issues, and people listen to Join Up Dots here go, oh, he's going on about this at all. But I literally fell to pieces. I literally fell to pieces, and I look back on it and I think it was my own bloody stupid fault. I was just going for it, not resting, just going for it, thinking that I could outwork everyone. Now I look back on it and think, why was I doing that? Why? And I just don't operate in the same way. But I do think that even though the grindiest grind that I have grind my way through has been terrible, I would still go back and do it again. Because what I'm doing now is fantastic, is everything I wanted to do. But
so then it wasn't stupid. Right?
It was stupid though, wasn't it? It was stupid that I didn't allow myself to have a rest. I didn't have breaks. I didn't, allow myself to sleep. I was just pushing through. That's the stupid part.
Yes, but I think that, we do what we know. And then when we know better, we do better. So I respectfully disagree, David. I don't think you were stupid. I think you were just doing what you knew how to do. And then there came a point where you decided that you were going to know better. You were going to know more and do better. So
you can't disagree with me, Lynn. It's my show.
I just did.
You did, didn't you? Sorry, damn. I'm talking to a woman and she's a lawyer. She's got me in many different ways. So do you think literally it is like in classic Join Up Dots, it's a case that you look back and you can see your path because of those, what I call the stupid things, but you're saying you've got to do it. You've got to experience those things to find a better way.
Absolutely. Without having gone through that, you would not be here. It doesn't start. Our lives usually don't start where we are right now. We take a path to get here. And like you said, you wouldn't do it in any other way because you wouldn't even be able to do it another way because you wouldn't know at those points in your life. You wouldn't know any better. And that's okay. This is a process. Again, this is why we're here. I think we signed up for this. It's like life school or grow yourself up school, whatever it is. This is the grind, all of it, the bathroom floor. It's all part of it. We have to go through it and we have to find our way to the other side.
I wonder why people always lay on the bathroom floor. I'd put some cushions down or something, but it always seems to be the bathroom floor. It's a weird place.
I've got a lovely couch in there where I can just, lounge and bawl my eyes out.
You've got a couch in your bathroom. You've got the world's biggest bathroom. Mine's just
That's it.
Just full of kids complaining about the toothpaste. That's what my bathroom's full of. All I want is a bit of privacy time, a bit of dad privacy time. About you're in there for a second and it's a bang on the door. So, how did you create your business then? This interests me. I'm going to jump back because I've found my internet lawyer spin. Cover your assets online because it hadn't dawned on me until I read that actually you could get into trouble online. It's just like build content, put images on, throw it all up there. But of course now I can see that you can. Was that an obvious business or was that something that kept on niggling away at you all the time where you was just seeing other people operating and thinking, oh, risky time there?
So when I started my own business, or when I decided I wanted to be my own boss and figure out a new way or a different way to be a lawyer, I was exploring online. And, I thought, well, wouldn't it be so cool if I could work from home as a lawyer, but not really practice law in the traditional sense. And so I went down this, path of really discovering all these virtual law offices that that some lawyers had created. And this is all new, right? In light of the internet, and traditional law firms were, excuse me, looking down their noses at these virtual law firms. And I thought, well, that's kind of cool, a virtual law firm. And then as I looked into starting my own business and what that entailed, and then I thought, how do other people do this? I mean, do they not realize that if they don't have a privacy policy on their website, that they could get in some serious trouble? That if they just take images off Google, they could be slapped with a cease and desist order, or worse, copyright infringement charges. So I thought, that is what I can do. I can teach people all the things that they can do so that they won't have to hire a lawyer. I created a what I call a do-it-yourself legal toolkit, so that people can protect themselves, because they don't realize how much they're actually exposing themselves to liability just by going into business and doing something that they love. I think the internet has this gives us this notion that the rules are so different and that we don't necessarily have to be accountable. Nobody's looking, nobody's paying attention. And that's just not the case.
I must admit, I've nicked a few photos off Google. I didn't know that was wrong. I just thought they're there to copy.
Yeah. And it's just the complete opposite of that. Just because it's on Google doesn't mean you have a right to use those images. In fact, you probably don't. And so you always want to make sure that any images you're using are that you have the permission to do that. For example, there's a woman a doctor who took her business, her medical practice online. So she wanted to start her own business. She had a website designer and developer create this beautiful website for her. And when she went live, soon after, she received a cease and desist letter and a demand for $16,000 for the unauthorized use of images on her website. Well, she was flabbergasted. First of all, she didn't even put the images on there. The web developer did, but there was never any attempt made to find out whether she even could use them, whether she was authorized to use them. And she was the one that got slapped with that lawsuit, not the people who put her website together. So, oh my gosh, you are so exposed as business owners. You need to pay attention, take your head out of the sand. And it's not enough to say, I'm too small, no one will notice. It's the little guy that's getting it, because the little guy is exposed, and that's who they're going after. The big corporations with their fancy law firms and all of that, they're covered. Nobody's going after them as much as they can go after. And it's the little guy who's going after the little guy. So it's the little guy who owns the images that can find out who's used them without permission, and they'll track them down and they'll demand money.
And does this operate across the world? I can see that you do it yourself legal toolkits. Would that operate for the United Kingdom as well as Australia and America and everywhere?
Well, certainly I am an American attorney, so everything I do is based on American law. So I can't say around the world what the laws are, but a copyright owner, so the person that owns that image, as an example, owns that image. And to the extent that they can go into another country and claim that you owe them money, then you will be responsible for paying for that.
Oh, scary time. Scary time.
Yeah,
all these people
I'm
out there.
You. You know what? A lot of lawyers who will say, well, I don't mean to scare you, and I'm like, I am here to scare the pants off you, because this stuff can really get you in hot water. And it's not that hard to reduce the risk. I mean, just do these things, don't do these things, and you reduce the risk dramatically.
You didn't just scare the pants off me. I'm now naked. I'm now naked, Lynn. Totally.
There you go.
That's not a good image for you. So,
oh dear.
So with your business then, do you have to be there at all time? Because I know a lot of the listeners out there have this fear of scaling a business, thinking to themselves, okay, I get one client, that's fine. 2 clients, 5 oh my God, how am I going to deal with this? How have you managed to sort of have a life around everything you've got going on?
So when I first started out, and you alluded to this earlier, when we first start out, we're gung-ho. We throw ourselves into our business to the extent that, we start ignoring other parts of our lives. Our families are like looking at us like, what's up with her and her computer? What's she really doing on there? And we stop exercising, and we stop taking care of the business of our whole lives. But then, there comes a time where you say, okay, now I need to get some perspective here. I need to put my business in its place in the bigger picture of my life. And where does that fit? And so you start arranging your life accordingly. You don't let the business boss you around. You remain the boss of your business. And that takes some practice. That takes some dipping your toe in here and, getting a scalded toe, if that's even a thing. But it's trial and error. But you have to know up front, David, like, what is the plan here? Like, what is the goal, and what's the plan to execute that goal? And then let's put that in the calendar. I have what I call a freedom calendar, and we start with coloring. We use crayons and markers, and we start with the color yellow for the whole year. Color in all your yellow days. Those are the days that you are not going to work. And I say there have to be at least 150, preferably more, but at least 150 days that you commit to not working. That includes weekends, so that's 104 days right there. Holidays, your vacation time. The cool thing is, when you look at it like that, then you can say, all right, this is when I'm going to have my time with either for myself or with family. And then from there, you start to say, this is when I create content on these days. This is when I generate income. Those are green days. You color in your calendar, you are on a roll. It is the coolest thing ever. You suddenly have more time than you had before, because we waste so much time starting, stopping, chasing another bunny over here, then coming back to the initial bunny that we thought was so cute and trying to remember where we left off. There's so much energy wasted when we do that.
But it's a lot of it. I agree with you. I agree with you totally. But a lot of it is boring, isn't it? When you've got something that is your passion that you're creating, and it's not a hobby, it's your future, the chance to take a day off and spend it with your kids is not as exciting as actually trying to create something online, especially when my kids sit around on their phones and their tablets, and you're the only one sitting there going, look, I've scheduled this time to be with you, and they don't actually want you to be with them anyway. It's a bit difficult, isn't it?
Right. So then, as the father, you, and as the man, and as the person who is in charge of you, decide how you really want to spend that time. Like, how do you want to spend that time? And if it's with your kids without phones, then that's got to be the rule that you lay down. No phones. This is what we're going to do.
I wouldn't survive. I would not survive, Lynn.
Yes, you would survive.
I would not survive. If you come into my house, the only thing I can do is turn off the internet, and then that screws my wife up as well, and I'm not going down there at all. So it's impossible. It is impossible to get them off their little devices and tablets. And the only thing that I can do,
or whatever it is you love to do, take care of you. Ask them when they want to be with you, and then schedule that, and then then all the other time you get to do whatever you want.
You see, this is why you are a lady who is gonna. You're making me woman up. That's what you're gonna do. And
I'm gonna make you woman up. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, what is woman up? Because man up is a kind of bad term. Woman up is an empowering term, is it?
I thought man up was a good term.
No, man up is when you're being weak and you're being pathetic, and somebody comes. Oh, certainly in the United Kingdom, when you're sitting there going, "Oh, I can't go to work today. I've got a cold." Oh, man up, get on with it. It's when you're being pathetic and weak. Right.
So if I say to a woman, or I say to women, as I say to myself, "Woman up," what I mean by that is stop being pathetic and weak.
See, there you go.
But in a nice way. In a much nicer way. It's kind of like saying, okay, look, the way you're thinking right now is causing you to spin in a circle. And the way you're thinking right now is probably like a 6 or 8 year old might think, because that's how we kind of have been trained. We were trained to think a certain way. And then once we became adults, we kept thinking that way, which is really a child mindset. We use our child mind to run an adult life. So when I say woman up, what I mean is it's like, hey, remember, you are a woman. You can figure this out. You've got life experience. You know what to do. And if you don't know what to do, you know how to figure it out. You can go somewhere or to someone and figure it out. So that's what I mean by woman up. It's like step into your adult life and figure this out.
Because your branding is very you. You know, one minute I'm looking at you and you're very professional and businessy, and the next I'm looking at like Debbie Harry kind of image. Has that taken a while to get to that point where you are? Because you're totally in your woman up zone. I can see it.
It did. I think that, at first, and if we just use the lawyer thing as an example, when I first took my business online, I had a very professional looking website. And then I never wanted to post on it. I never wanted to post blogs. I didn't really want to do much because it just wasn't me. But I was worried that, what would people think of a lawyer who does this or does it this way, that kind of thing. Now, I had to work through that in my mind. And I know so many people think that way. Like, I can't start doing that. I've been this person all my life, even though I may want to be, like this. I don't dare. So, it took me a while. I had to get to a point where I said, screw it. This is me. Just like David Ralph says, this is me. I said the same thing. And it's like, okay, this is me. You may not like it, but that's cool. We just won't hang out.
And that's where confidence really comes from, isn't it? That moment of, it's just me, just me. And I think once the world gets that it's easier to play yourself because you're pretty experienced at being yourself. And I used to see it in corporate land that people would come in and they would be really professional and they'd be really frowns on their foreheads and stroking their beards, and women with beards is not a good thing. And you'd look at it and you think to yourself, you can't honestly be that serious about this business. You can't, all you want to do is go off and play golf or go out for a drink and stuff. But I used to play this serious vibe, and it never cut through for me. And the people that would come through and just be themselves, you could see that their career would flourish and they would just know the right things to say at the right time because they weren't trying. It was effortless. They was in a state of flow, I suppose.
Yes. I think there's this inner resolve that I believe this. I believe this to be true. It may not be factual, but it is a belief that is strong and on which you are, living your life, your whole, it's your platform, and you're okay if other people don't see it your way. I think that is so powerful when we give other people permission to disagree with us or to not like us. It's like, okay, you don't, because it's in the trying to please everyone, to get everyone to like us. I mean, people do that. You'll hear people say all the time, oh, I don't care what people think, but they do. They really do care. And to really understand what it means to not care and still feel loving, kindness, and respect for other people. I love you, but I don't care what you think is so different from I don't care what people think, right?
Yeah, I agree. I'm now fully womaned up. This is my new thing now. I'm going to be, I don't know how I'm going to dress from now on, but I'm 95% woman from now on. You've turned me 360. Well,
awesome.
What we're going to do now, we're going to play the words of the late Steve Jobs, who created this speech back in 2005, and it literally gets more powerful every time I listen to it. Here's Steve Jobs.
Of course, it was impossible to connect the dots looking forward when I was in college, but it was very, very clear looking backwards 10 years later. Again, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. Because believing that the dots will connect down the road will give you the confidence to follow your heart, even when it leads you off the well-worn path. And that will make all the difference.
So when you listen to those words, are they ones that really apply to your own life, do you think?
Oh my gosh, that gives me goosebumps. I mean, I just love that. It is so powerful. You can't, and it's kind of like what we were saying earlier, right, David, about how, looking back, we can criticize ourselves, but what we did, the decisions we made, they made sense. It makes sense that we chose that path because it's what we knew how to do. But we can connect the dots and then go forward. I just think that is so powerful.
And when you look back on your own life, Lin, was there a big dot? I always love asking this question, but was there a big dot that you can go, yeah, that's really when I got to grips with who I am and where I am now?
Yes, I was married. My first husband, I was married. We were married for 2 years. I went through a divorce that, just sent me into a tailspin and put me on the path that I really should have been in all along. So it was like the best thing and the worst thing that ever happened to me. But that moment was seminal because that's when I really started to look inward and I really started to say, I remember soon after that, someone said to me, you don't have any right to be angry about this, whatever it was, I don't even remember, but you don't have any right to be angry about this. And I said, and I remember saying, telling me that I don't have a right to be angry is like telling me I don't have a right to be hungry. So don't tell me when I can be angry. So I was a little, rough around the edges when I first started coming into my own, but that was a big turning point for me to really own how I felt, not making excuses and just being who I was and accepting who that was.
So simple, but so powerful as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, unfortunately for us, this is the end of the show now. This is the bit that we've been building up to that we call the Sermon on the Mic, when we're going to send you back in time to have a one-on-one with your younger self. And if you could go back in time and speak to the young Lin, what age would you choose and what advice would you give? Well, we're going to find out because I'm going to play the theme, and when it fades, you're up. This is the Sermon on the Mic.
Here we go with the best bit of the show, the Sermon on the Mic, the Sermon on the Mic.
Hey, little Lin, this is adult Lin talking to you. Sorry it took me so long to get back to you. It's going to take a while for you to realize that you get to change the rules. You get to change the rules at some point. Once that prefrontal cortex thing is fully formed in your brain, which is going to be somewhere in your mid-20s, you're going to realize that you get to think everything you want to think. You are now responsible for everything you think. Before, you could say, I need help, I'm helpless, I'm powerless, I need other people to help me. But there will come a point when it's going to be all on you. You're going to need to take the reins and take control. So I want you to question everything. I want you to question the beliefs you have about how you're supposed to be, how you're supposed to behave, how you're supposed to look, how you're supposed to act towards other people. Question all of it. Question religion. Question money. Question all of it. And then, after some time, after you've had a chance to live your life as an adult, then I want you to think, how do you really want to go forward? What are your rules? It takes guts to live by your own rules. It's going to take some grit for you to stand up for what you want, and it's going to take a lot of grace to truly love yourself through the entire process. I just want you to know I've got your back. I'm with you. I love you. Tally ho.
Great stuff. Lin, what's the number one best way that our audience who have been listening can connect with you?
They can find me at lineleoff.com. That may be hard to spell, so maybe you can help them with that one.
We'll certainly have all the links on the show notes to make it as easy as possible. But Lin, thank you so much for spending time with us today, joining up those dots. And please come back again when you've got more dots to join up, because I do believe that by joining up the dots and connecting our past is the best way to build our futures. Lin, thank you so much.
Thank you, David. It's been so fun.
Now, believe me, that is a lady who is totally where she should be in her life. If you go over to her website, and I hope you do, you'll just see the images aren't contrived. They're not businessy. They're just her being herself. And I think it's inspiring, and I think it's inspiring for all women to see somebody who is totally confident in their place and what they're bringing to the world. And if you want to woman up, you've got to get behind me in the line, but go over to her website and you'll see a load of freebies there and sessions that you can sign up for. But certainly, I think she's somebody who is worth looking out for. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Join Up Dots. Hopefully you're going to feel more confident after this. And until next time, we'll see you again. See ya. Bye-bye.
David doesn't want you to become a faded version of the brilliant self you were once to become. So he's put together an amazing guide for you called the 8 Pieces of Advice That Every Successful Entrepreneur Practices, including the 2 that changed his life. Head over to joinupdots.com to download this amazing guide for free, and we'll see you tomorrow on Join Up Dots.